like in relationships. Maybe they're all in busted relationships, moving on to their 17th marriage, or just like I said, I'm an author. Everything. I love the idea. I love that you said so much about writing, sitting down pen and paper, and writing a note. It's a lost art, number one. And number two, when you send someone something like that, very rarely do they throw it away. They do keep it. And I do have a contact list with emails, but also with addresses. And I reach out to people at random, and I do it in a way in which I'm just checking in with you. You came to mind. I hope all is well. How long does that take? Now, we're talking about, it being something that we use when, for business purposes. But think about what it also creates on a consciousness, like a collective consciousness level of what because there's people going through things in the world we have no idea. So you can be affecting that person's life on a level that you have no idea what that note, just receiving a note means to them. And then that generates what? That generates in them, they feel they have a relationship with you. And then that's going to be beneficial, yes, with what you do. But it's also going to be beneficial, and they can come back to you in a myriad of ways that you can't even imagine. I believe when you put that out into the world. So I just had to say really quick that I love that being an author, but also someone who writes notes still. And I will always call old school. You could even emails. I mean, people delete emails, and I do send emails, but they're not as personal. There's nothing more personal than sitting down and taking a few minutes to write a few lines and send it out. But I absolutely love that, Brad. Amanda, sister, thank you for giving me that time.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, I'll kind of throw, it looks like Minnie may have left the room, but she really had a great share this morning. And I looked and I have not like really connected. I mean, I know she's been in and out of rooms before and she always says good stuff, but like today she said some really good stuff. And I felt like I connected with that a little more. It took me 5 minutes to track down her address, and only because I'm paying attention, not from any kind of personal gain other than I really would like to send her a note, right? And make her day. And let me just tell you how that process went. First of all, Minnie Mouse, I had to look to find her profile, and her name actually is long enough that it goes off the screen. And so while she's talking and I'm having this impression from her, I'm looking and I hit, the profile button, and there I found her full name. All right, Danielle Stevens. So then I go in and I use Fast People Search, which if you don't have that site, fastpeoplesearch.com is a good way to track down. Maybe 70% of the time it's accurate. But she was talking about Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm like, okay, so I got Danielle Stevens in Jacksonville, Florida. Like 3 or 4 of those people show up. And then who was it? It was, I think, Ashley. Did you say, like, how old are you, Danielle? And she said 39. Well, guess what? The other option was 22 or 39 in my Fast People Search. This is just how my brain works, right? I mean, I'm just like, I want to connect. And so I'm looking for these ways to connect. And I think it's more fun when she gets this note. And she's going to, like what a lot of people say is, ooh, that sounds pretty creeperish. Yeah, and there's nothing better than you get a note and you don't know for sure if you gave them your address or not. And it's not like I'm sending it to a stranger. It's somebody we just had a great conversation with today. So first of all, those connections aren't going to look at anything as creeper, right? Now, if I was just sitting down in the audience for the last year listening to Ashley, and I track down her address and I send her a note, and she's never talked to me. I've sat in the audience, just listened to her, and I send her a note that just says, you got great stuff in Clubhouse. Thank you for sharing. She'd be like, who the hell is this creep, right? And I'm using that as an extreme because Ashley does have the creeps that swarm around her, so she's got to have that guard up. But even for me to get, I don't know if I've even sent you a note yet, Ashley. I think I have because I think I got your address at one point, but you probably protect that like bigger than anything. So I don't know if I've actually even got your address. I haven't even looked because that's not what it's about. If I got your address, I sent you a note. If I haven't gotten it yet, you haven't gotten a note from me. It doesn't mean that our relationship's not still growing. So anyway, just wanted to throw that piece in there, that process is, I literally give myself a 5-minute timer on every human being. They get 5 minutes of my life to figure out where they live so I can write them a note. If it takes longer than 5 minutes, then I'm going to have to ask them. But if I can do it in less than 5 minutes, I just think of that. It's like, hey, Tony, I want to stay in touch with you, Bear. Can you give me your address? I mean, he'd give it to me, but how cheesy does that sound? Even from, we've been hanging out for 3 years and I'm going to ask you for your address, or do you mind if I stay in touch with you? I mean, that's all salespeople conversations. Forget that. Conversations and friends know where each other lives. So anyway, it does put another challenge to finding addresses and doing that stuff. And I get returned note cards, right? Because I think I'm pretty sure my deductive reasoning, I probably have the right address. And Sid is another one. It's like she was mentioning that Sid was there, and it's like, I know I've dropped Sid. I'm pretty sure I've dropped Sid a note. And I looked and I don't have him on my list anywhere. I don't have him in my database. I'm like, what the hell? I know I found his address, and I definitely found his address because it links to a button on one of the maps on his website that actually shows his place that matches my address. So I'm not going to go fly out there and hover around our future president's house. I'm just dropping him a note to say, dude, really appreciate you sharing, and that was a great conversation today. Thanks so much. Meant a lot.
And I know where you live.
And I know where you live. Yeah, see, if I ever get stuck up in your neck of the woods, Tony, I know exactly what your driveway looks like. I've looked at it at Google Maps. You have an awesome property. You've talked about it. And that's another thing. If I can verify that address, I go to Google Maps and go, oh, yeah, that's acreage. Oh, look, there's little boxes down there. That must be the B area. Freaking cool. This is Tony. This is Tony's house. And, oh, look, he's in the window in his underwear. Dude, get your pants on before you get on Clubhouse.
How did you know? And I will say, I did receive those notes from Brad, and it is pretty awesome to receive them. I've got stuff from Ed. I've got stuff from a couple of people over the years, so it's really cool. But the one that Brad sent was great because it was a note inside a note because he had sent one. Yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, very cool.
It almost sucks because I want to share this with more people, but then it takes away the power of the note. Like the only reason I told you about Minnie is because she's not in here. It's like, I don't want to take it's a note for Minnie. Like, thank you so much, right? And I wouldn't have brought that up if she was still in here, but that's what really went on behind the scenes.